Hey guys, Frosty Knives here, back with another quick video. And I wanted to do just a very short, quick spoiler talk video about Stephen King's Fairy Tale. So we're going to talk a lot of spoilers about Fairy Tale, specifically the ending of the novel, and the way that the big baddie, the evil of the big baddie is resolved. So if you haven't read it and you don't want to know about spoilers, or you just want to shy away from spoilers, this is your warning that this is going to be spoiler heavy. But if you've read the book and you don't care about spoilers and you want to dive deep, here's our deep dive into Fairy Tale. So, as you know, if you've read it, the ending of Fairy Tale is Charlie confronting the big bad evil, the big Gog Magog, this big Cthulhu-like creature that came out of the deep well in Empis, that was threatening to take over the world, right? And the way that he did that, the way that he defeated the evil, was by screaming its name. Gog Magog. He screamed its name at the creature, and that inflicted pain on the creature, and then the creature recoiled, and he was eventually able to force it back into the well and shut the well down, and that's how the big evil was defeated. And I've talked to some folks that have read the book, talked to some people, and a lot of people have said that they thought the ending of the book was a little silly, that it wrapped up a little too conveniently, that it just seemed to be just a silly way to end the book. To beat the big bad. And I thought about that. And on the surface, I understand their point. I can see how, from just a surface level point of view, how that would appear to be just a silly way to beat the main villain of a book. But here's my thoughts on that, and on why I think that way of fighting Gog Magog actually works. Charlie was 17. Stephen King, as you know, if you've read a lot of his books, if you read a lot of his, specifically It, if you've read It, you'll know where I'm coming from with this. Stephen King has always been a big fan of childhood magic. Stephen King believes in the magic of childhood, the ability and the fact that children can just believe in things, right? That you never have to convince a child to believe something. You never have to convince a child that the vampires, werewolves are real, that things that go bump in the night are real. They accept that. And there's this magic, right, in childhood that adults don't have, that adults lose. And Charlie is 17, right? He's right on the cusp of being an adult, right? He's got another year or two, and then he's almost there. So this is almost like the last blast of childhood magic that he has left in him in this fantastical world. And it wasn't so much the fact that he was shouting the creature's name at it that did it. It was the fact that, he believed that there was power in names, right? That they didn't talk about Gog and Magog because they were afraid that if you spoke its name, you would call it forth. So there's this idea that naming of things, that there's power in it. And Charlie believed that. Charlie believed that there was the power of a name, but he also believed that it worked both ways. So you could use the power of a name to call something forth, but you could also use the power of that same name to repel something, to send it back to where it came from. So it was Charlie's belief, not the act of him screaming this thing's name at it, but his belief in the power of naming the creature and invoking its name that sent Gog Magog back into the deep well. It was that last vestige of childhood magic, right? There's a wonderful scene in It with Eddie and Pennywise. Eddie, as you all know, poor Eddie, right? He was his mother had he was a victim of Munchausen syndrome. His mother made him believe that he was sick, he was never sick. He never had asthma, but she made him believe that he did, and so they gave him a fake inhaler, and it was nothing but water and medicine taste. And so it was he used it because he believed that he was sick, and this was how he got better, and he was made to believe that. And then he realized, he finally figured it out. He realized that his mother was lying to him, and that his inhaler was nothing but water and medicine taste. And there's this wonderful scene. It's one of my favorites in it, where they're in the sewers and they're being hunted and chased by Pennywise. And it's Eddie, right? Poor Eddie. Eddie finally confronts Pennywise. Eddie, who'd gotten his arm broken by Henry Bowers. Eddie, who had been everyone's punching bag. Meek little Eddie, who had been led to believe that he was just a sickly little child. And he walked up to Pennywise with his inhaler. And in this moment of belief, he confronted Pennywise, and he said to him, I don't believe in Santa Claus, and I don't believe in the Easter Bunny, and I don't believe in you. And this is battery acid, you fuck. And he squirted it at him, and it was his belief that changed his inhaler into battery acid and was able to repel Pennywise. And Stephen King's big on that. Stephen King is big on this idea of childhood magic and the power of magic. And so Charlie standing there at the deep well, screaming the name of Gog Magog and telling him that you're not welcome here, and perpetually invoking that, and using the power of that to repel him back, that makes sense to me. If you didn't really, I guess if you hadn't really known the connection, the idea that King really loved this idea of childhood magic, on the surface it seems something silly, but when you frame it in that way, it makes a little bit more sense to me. There was, there was either an essay or an interview or an article that Stephen King wrote about childhood magic, where he talked about, if you had a village of 500 people, adults, or 500 people, they may conjure up in that village, they may believe, in vampires. So it might take 500 people to believe in a vampire enough that a vampire now comes to the village. But it only takes one person, usually a child, to invent the stake that will kill the vampire. So when you couch the ending of Fairy Tale in this idea and in this belief of childhood magic, that this was Charlie's last blast of being a kid and just accepting what you see. He finally just accepted Empus, accepted that there was this world out there with mermaids and giants and deep wells and two moons and this creature that came out and turned everybody gray, and that this was just the way it is. He didn't need an explanation. He just accepted that. And that was his last sort of hurrah, that he was able to harness that last bit of magic, of childhood magic, to send the creature back where it came from. And in that regard, that made sense to me, because I kind of think I knew where King was coming from. And framed like that, that was the only way to fight it. So that's really all I wanted to say about Fairy Tale, and the connection of childhood magic and the belief in things that only children can believe in, the belief in things that we lose as adults, right? That we no longer believe in because we rationalize it. We need to understand why, and kids, they don't need to understand why. It is what it is. It exists. It is because it is, and they're okay with that explanation. And that works. That works in it, and I think it works in Fairy Tale. So guys, here, that was a little bit of a spoiler talk about Fairy Tale and about my thoughts on the ending and about my thoughts of Charlie versus Gog Magog, the big baddie. So guys, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the ending. Did you like it? Did you think it was silly? Did you think it worked? Would you have liked to have seen it a different way? So guys, I hope you enjoyed this spoilery talk video about Fairy Tale. And thanks for watching again, because I know I just posted one, but thanks again for watching the videos. And until next time, I will see you later.